Good morning, sunshines. Callie Carroll here, talking about perspective and how it can reveal miracles and all of the good things. I don't know why I'm talking so slow today, but let's just hope this isn't a 45-minute video. Just kidding, it won't be. First of all, I know that some of you guys are curious as you jump on, say good morning, sunshine, hashtag GMS. Tell me how you're doing this morning. Tell me something you are grateful for. I will share with you, I'm grateful for an incredible day yesterday. Witten John's second birthday. I was pretty apprehensive and anxious, as I shared yesterday, about spending his full day in the hospital. Like, what would that look like? Would he have an enjoyable day? Trying not to play the victim and having the Eeyore story, but also step into our strength around that. And it was really, really a great day. So I'm grateful for my attitude going into it, and I'm grateful for the outcome. What are you grateful for? Okay, I want to talk about my ankles hurt right here. Don't worry, we're just going to move around, guys. It's just fine. I want to talk about your story that you're telling about the way something should look, right? And we're all storytellers. We all make this elaborate thing up in our brain about what we think things should look like, how we think things should go, what we think the reaction of others are, and we just are nonstop this like streamline of thoughts that aren't really benefiting us because we're just making shit up, right? We're just creating this full like novel in our brains about how it should look, when in all actuality, it can look so many different ways and still be so beautiful. It's just that our assumptions can devalue that, right? So I'm going to give you an example, my example, right? For chemotherapy, I had an assumption of what chemotherapy looked like before this full situation, right? Most of us are not comfortable with chemo. We're not comfortable talking about chemo. We aren't comfortable with even thinking about what that would be like. Maybe we watch movies, we see that different piece of it. That was me, probably like a lot of people, right? And I had the assumption that chemo was going to look a certain way. Over the last 4 months, I have found out that I am so wrong. I'm so wrong about what it could look like, right? What it can look all sorts of different ways, right? But I had written a story that it looked like the way that I saw it in movies. And in fact, a lot of our stories come from movies, don't they? That's a lot of our only exposure. A lot of us, that's the only place that we're exposed to many different things, right? We're exposed to wealth, we're exposed to love, we're exposed to how relationships should work. We're exposed to like that perfect romance comedy, right? We're exposed to drama. And because of that, like basically for chemotherapy, I thought it was going to look more like yesterday looked, even a little bit worse. Come to find out, there's so many different ways to do things, you guys. Your story isn't the only way, right? There was different chemotherapy that we only had to go through once a week, and it was super quick. We went in and they gave a little shot into his little port, and then we were out of there. There was a chemotherapy where they put something in his arm and it went into his skin, and then we did it at home for 2 months, where we were actually the ones administering this little vial of medicine, which is a full chemo. And then there's what we saw yesterday, where you do an entire 1-hour drip of anti-nausea medication, where you're sitting in the hospital hooked up to the little port, and there's like somebody sitting next to you. That's kind of what I pictured, right? And then there's different separate rooms, and you're waiting for the one drip to happen so that you don't get sick. And then there's 2 full hours where you're sitting on it like this, like you're stuck to the stick, right? But I was picturing more vomiting. I was picturing not feeling as well, which you don't know. There can be different reactions, but it can look so different, right? And in your life, there's probably something that you think should look a certain way. You keep running after a marriage that looks a certain way from a romance movie that you saw, right? Like, that's just a great example. But have you ever just like sat back and thought about all of the beautiful things that are in your marriage that maybe aren't television worthy because they're not full of high and lows of drama, right? Of extreme, like swinging the pendulum, but they're just true and real forever, right? Are you with a spouse who listens to you, who communicates with you, who is faithful and loyal, who maybe you don't have the like I want to see like the fairy tale romantic, like, oh, we go to the gym every day together, and we maybe that's not fairy tale romantic for anybody, right? But like you've watched this one movie, you're like, that's what it should look like, but then really like you have all these other amazing things. Or maybe you watch somebody else in their career, and like, oh well, you're supposed to start here, you start in the mailroom, and then you work your way up, and then pretty soon you're owning the business, and you have multiple companies, and then you're the resource of all the wealth. but it's not really how it looks, right? Sometimes you start right in the middle and you're stuck right in the middle and you got to make a change because that's not the place that you're supposed to be. Or you think that it's going to be like this glorious like marketing job, right? Why does every job on TV look like they're like at play all the time, right? They got little cubicles where it's all like, it's always just so funny and there's so much like laughter and like they've got the basketball court that's in the middle of it and they're playing games and then they have like drinking hours. I don't know, like all these different things. And it's like, that's not what it actually looks like. This is how it looks. But think about all the glorious things about the way your story is versus what you thought it should look like. There are so many cool things about what your story actually is than what you wrote up here. So in your career, maybe it's in your health, right? You're like, well, I know what it's like. Like I watched the show, I watched the commercial and the ad, and I'm going to lose this much weight per week, and it's going to go really quick. And then I'm going to feel like this, and I'm going to have those types of toned muscles and cuts. And then I'm probably going to want to do a show because that's what I saw so-and-so do. That's the story that you've created in your mind. Maybe your ideal health and physique isn't a full six-pack and cuts. Maybe it's you feeling awesome when you run up and down the stairs. Maybe it's when you feel like, yes, I can go take my kids to walk down the street and back and feel great about it. And I just feel good, right? Maybe it looks different than the story that you wrote in your head. So today's point is the story that you've created based upon the things you've been exposed to, most of them through likely books and movies, but many of them through books and movies that maybe you haven't achieved or become, and you're thinking that your life isn't as great as it could be because it doesn't look like that. Do you really want that? Would you really want that? Is it really something that even matters, or have you just fabricated this and you don't really even need that in your life? Your life is perfectly beautiful when you step back and have a little perspective about what you have going on, you guys. It's all about, it comes back to gratitude, right? Giving gratitude for the small things that occur in your world. That doesn't mean that we don't go after the big. That doesn't mean that you don't, seek out the most communicative, happy, beautiful marriage and job and finances and health, all of those different things. Of course, you're running after, you set goals to move towards, but think about the goals that you have. Are they yours or are they Julia Roberts? Are they yours or are they Channing Tatum's? Like, whose goals are you running after? Because there can be a story that you can drop in your head. Okay, guys, we commit at the end. We always commit at the end, right? So if you're committed today, I want you to just sit back for a second and think, have I written a story about what my blank is supposed to look like? Have I written a story about what my health is supposed to look like, what my marriage is supposed to look like, what my success is supposed to look like, what my finances are supposed to look like? And you've created a story that's making you feel like shit about who you are and how you're showing up because it doesn't look that way. And then this is where you're going to decide, okay, do you really want that story? Because maybe you do, and it's time to start taking steps towards getting it, right? Or is there some sort of transformation or like a little twist and turn of that story where you're like, well, yeah, I do want that, but that's really actually not that important. And that's not that important to me. Here's what's really important to me. And you can decide on what you truly want based upon your connection with yourself, you guys, instead of the outside world, worrying about, comparing them to us and all those different pieces. So if you're committed, that was a long commitment piece, sorry. If you're committed, say, I'm committed to taking a look at my stories. Yeah? All right, you guys, again, thank you for all of your love and support. Whit and John just was showered with love yesterday, so I can't wait to take all of those different posts and put them in a little thing. You guys are amazing. And the prayers, just keep them coming. We have chemo today, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We'll be at the hospital for a 3-hour drip every single day, so about 4 hours each day, but nothing as long as yesterday. And that's going to be great. I'm very thankful for that. Guys, I love you. Good morning, sunshines. Have a good day. Light and love from my house to yours. Bye. It's very hard to end this video these days.